This is Rome, and this is London. At first glance, they don't seem all that different. They're both world-famous European capitals, both attract millions of visitors every year, both have incredible history, iconic landmarks, and a global reputation. But the moment you stop looking at them as tourists and start paying attention to how people actually live, work, and spend their everyday lives, you realize these cities couldn't be more different. They aren't just two capitals in different countries. They represent two completely different philosophies of life. London is built around structure, efficiency, and constant progress. Rome is built around presence, relationships, and enjoying the moment. They ask different things from the people who live there, and over time, they shape people in completely different ways. The first thing you notice is how each city treats time. In London, time feels almost tangible. Every minute has value, every hour belongs somewhere, and every day follows a schedule. People wake up knowing exactly where they need to be, what train they're catching, who they're meeting, and what deadlines they need to hit before the day is over. The city rewards people who are organized, punctual, and productive. Walking through central London, you immediately notice the pace. People move quickly, conversations are short, coffee is often something to grab on the way to work rather than an experience in itself. Everything feels optimized. Time isn't something you simply experience, it's something you manage. Rome creates the exact opposite feeling. The city doesn't seem interested in rushing anyone. Mornings unfold naturally rather than according to a strict schedule, and life feels less divided into carefully planned blocks of productivity. People stop for an espresso, not because they have extra time, but because taking that pause is considered a normal part of the day. Friends stop to talk in the middle of the street, neighbors spend time chatting outside cafes, and long lunches aren't treated like wasted hours. In Rome, time doesn't constantly remind you of what comes next. Instead, it encourages you to notice where you already are. The city gives you the impression that life is happening now, not after you've crossed everything off your to-do list. That difference becomes even more obvious when you look at business and work. London is one of the financial capitals of the world, and you can feel that influence everywhere. Entire neighborhoods exist because of banking, finance, technology, consulting, and global corporations. Success is closely connected to ambition, efficiency, and career growth. People network constantly, switch companies to move higher, build startups, invest, and think about the next opportunity. Competition isn't hidden, it's simply part of everyday life. Living in London often feels like participating in one enormous system where everyone is trying to improve, grow, and move forward as quickly as possible. The difference also shows up in the way people define success. In London, success is often something visible. It's the promotion, the salary, the apartment in a better neighborhood, the startup that finally takes off, or the next big opportunity. The city encourages people to keep climbing because there's always another level waiting above you. Rome measures success differently. Of course, people want financial security and fulfilling careers, but there's often a stronger belief that life shouldn't revolve entirely around work. Having time for family, enjoying long dinners with friends, taking a slow evening walk, or simply sitting in a piazza without checking the time can be just as valuable as getting promoted. In London, life revolves around work. In Rome, work is expected to fit around life. Rome approaches work from a completely different perspective. Of course, people work hard, but work rarely feels like the center of someone's identity. Relationships often matter as much as efficiency, and personal trust can be as valuable as professional experience. Business feels more human and less mechanical. Conversations are longer, meetings are often more relaxed, and building genuine connections is considered an investment rather than a distraction. There is still ambition, but it doesn't always come with the same sense of urgency. In London, people adapt themselves to the system. In Rome, the system often adapts itself to people. You can even see these philosophies reflected in the way people dress. London's fashion is heavily influenced by practicality. The weather changes constantly, commuting is a daily reality, and many people spend most of their day moving between offices, trains, and meetings. Clothing tends to be functional, versatile, and understated. Neutral colors, clean tailoring, quality basics, and outfits that fit almost any situation dominate the streets. Even when someone is dressed fashionably, it usually feels intentional, structured, and practical. Rome treats clothing almost like another language. Looking good isn't something reserved for special occasions, it's part of everyday culture. People pay attention to fit, fabrics, shoes, and small details, not necessarily because they're trying to impress anyone, but because style is considered a natural expression of personality. You can walk into a neighborhood cafe on an ordinary Tuesday morning and see people dressed with an effortless elegance that feels completely normal. The goal isn't to stand out, it's simply to appreciate beauty in everyday life. Even the atmosphere of the streets reflect these contrasts. London often feels surprisingly private. Millions of people share the same sidewalks, trains, and office buildings, yet everyone seems wrapped up in their own world, listening to music, answering emails, or thinking about the next meeting. Rome feels much more public. Life happens outside. Cafes spill onto the sidewalks, conversations fill the streets, neighbors know each other, and evenings are spent in lively squares rather than rushing home. The city itself almost encourages interaction, making everyday life feel less isolated and more connected. The streets themselves reflect these differences. London feels incredibly organized. Public transport connects almost every corner of the city. People move with purpose, and the entire urban environment seems designed to maximize efficiency. Even the architecture tells the same story, where centuries-old buildings stand next to modern skyscrapers that symbolize business, finance, and constant development. The city always feels like it's preparing for tomorrow. Rome feels almost unconcerned with tomorrow. Its streets invite you to slow down, get lost, and discover places you weren't looking for. Public squares fill with people who aren't shopping or working, they're simply spending time together. Children play outside late into the evening, families gather for dinner that lasts for hours, and strangers comfortably occupy public spaces without feeling the need to rush home. Instead of pushing you towards your next destination, Rome constantly reminds you that your current moment is already worth paying attention to. Neither city is objectively better. In fact, they're both incredibly successful at being exactly what they were built to be. London is one of the greatest cities in the world for people who thrive on opportunity, ambition, innovation, and professional growth. Rome is one of the greatest cities for people who value connection, beauty, tradition, and the simple pleasure of everyday life. One rewards speed, the other rewards presence. And that's why Rome feels like the anti-London, not because one city is superior to the other, but because they answer the same question in completely different ways. London asks, how can you achieve more? Rome asks, how can you enjoy more? London teaches you how to build a career. Rome reminds you how to build a life.